Okay, looks like a live. Okay, looks like a live. Sounds on there. I'm not sure how loud it is, but we'll have to wait and see. Give the microphone a bit of a boost. Let's have a look here. Then get a right help. Go on speaker settings. I don't know why Microsoft did to make it much easier to use this, like I did before Windows 7. I don't get this, why they make it so blooming difficult just to find the settings. Can't even see it. Okay, test. Okay, yeah, okay, put the volume up, that's good. Should be better now. Yeah, something right about that. That's a bit too noisy. Let me change that a little bit because that's a bit too much. You can hear kind of whistling sound as well. It's a bit of a oh god, my god. Let's put down a little bit. 75. Let's try now. 5. Try now. 5. Okay, it seems alright. It's not the best, but it's just the way it's set up at the moment on my desk. I need to readjust it. Let's see how far we can go with this. So this is purely Ukraine-Russia. For some reason it's not on the other stream channel. It's bizarre. It's working, but on one of the streams. Let's see that. So it's I haven't logged in properly yet. No, it is on there. Okay, cool. But for some reason the title's completely wrong. Why is the title so bad? Let's change that. Oh, come on. No, that's not what I wanted. God, man, nothing's easy with these people. Really is. Really isn't. Straightforward setup. Let's try now. Okay. So Facebook's running okay. If I go to YouTube, make sure, I think it's okay, let's double check it. Should be right. Okay, let's save changes there. Upload thumbnail. Not that it matters, but just worth making sure we're good to go. Right, looks like alright. Now, if we go to put X so we know we're live as well. Live now. Live now, no, live now, not live. IVE. Okay. Copy that link. Very much there, guys. Sorry about that, that's a bit messy. There's my profile. Yeah, looks on there now, so cool. So what are the topics at hand? And now I'll disconnect me for some reason on Facebook. Oh dearie me, nothing to do with me, just I don't know why it does this. Well, that's reconnecting, should be okay now. Looks like it says streaming on there. Right, let's get a cup of tea ready, and it's ready to go. So what we're going to talk about, well, obviously Ukraine, Russia, but what exactly we're going to talk about in this particular video, and trying to educate you on a few things, because the media do a half decent job. I wouldn't say that, no, say half decent, do a decent job I should say. But there are things that are also missing, and then it requires some context as well. So, look at the current state of Ukraine elections, NATO membership, the EU going after Russian assets, which of course has been recently noted that they're not going to go after them. which have been completely suicidal from Europe's perspective. The Russian gains in Ukraine land. Ukraine talk of banning Russian language backfires. Even the Telegraph have criticised Kallas, the crooked bureaucrat, the former Estonian Prime Minister. I don't know what she does now. Over her tone, yes. The Telegraph, which by the way has been a mouthpiece, propaganda mouthpiece for Ukraine. That's how bad it's gone. The EU banking on Russia collapsing has also failed completely. Trump losing interest, doesn't care, just wants deals and resources. Ukraine edging close to Russia, is that a discussion worth looking at some point in the future? I think it is. And I'll explain that towards the end what I think about that. So, let me just get my, I think my friend can connect to the YouTube channel, that's a bit late, so... No, I don't think they can. That's a shame. We'll see. I've got a recording afterwards. So, state of Ukraine, it's pretty bad. Now, there's been corruption scandals. Andriy Yermak, of course, was let go. He had no choice in the end. He was a fall guy for Ukraine, and people forget this, that Andriy Yermak was the front guy for Zelensky. In fact, Yermak was running the show, pretty much. Yermak was actually created Zelensky as he was now, today. That's how it's going to bring down the Zelensky government, how everything's going to go to hell now. Nope, didn't do that. The status quo continues with these people. So, this idea that somehow, they're acting on corruption is a joke. Because if Yermak would do all this stuff, then Zelensky must have known. Because they're literally all together 24/7. Zelensky spends more time with Yermak than he does with his wife. I'm not trying to say something, I'm just stating a fact. So there's no way, no chance in hell, that Zelensky didn't know what Yermak was up to. Ukraine right now is losing more territory, slowly, but they're losing more territory. Zaporizhia is a cause of concern, as well as Kupiansk in the north part of the country, close towards in the Kharkov region. And of course, Mineralgrad, which is pretty much done now, has been circled, but it's almost done and dusted. Muslim Russia can then go from there and go to other directions. Other places are long-range strikes, particularly in Odessa. I've seen more of them on there. Russia are not fearing attacking shipments which are close to the borders of Romania and other places which are close to the Romanian borders in Europe as well. And what happened recently was that, this is a very bizarre case, Ukraine have claimed credit for an attack on a Russian oil tanker in the Mediterranean Sea. Turns out there was nothing on board the ship. Meaning, no oil, no guns, no shipments. This actually came from the SBU, the actual Ukraine intelligence, confirming there's nothing on board. Okay, you sunk a tanker with nothing on it. Congratulations. Then it claims on, this is what we do to try and destroy Russia's war machine. You've done a really bad job of it with doing that. You should be targeting military sites in Russia and potentially oil refineries, which are doing the help and the dirty work, so to speak, of the tanks and the machinery that Russia are using in this war. The Ukraine from time to time do attack. You do attack Russia and are successful. Let's not deny that. Russia, on the other hand, do retaliate strongly, and they're probably going to retaliate strongly to this, as Putin suggested earlier today, that Russia are not going to let this one go. So that's the current state of Ukraine. We'll come back to the state of Ukraine as we progress forward this stream. So, Ukraine elections. What's up with that? Ukraine elections? Well, the problem is, this is something which I'm not sure why Trump has alluded to be frank. It's really bizarre how they should look at this and try and do something about it. Good evening, just common sense, nice to see you again. Ukraine elections can't happen. They just can't happen. I'm not sure how this works, because in the constitution it'll just be thrown out. There's bound to be a challenge on this. You might think, well, they have no choice, and it's true, they probably have no choice, but how do they actually elect this kind of election campaign? You got people in parts of Lugansk, Donetsk, Zaporizhia, Kherson, who can't vote. They can't vote in these elections. They are technically, based on current law in in Ukraine, are Ukrainian citizens, but they can't vote. So their vote will count for nothing. this is like a temporary election till the ceasefire happens. They're not going to have an election when the war's still going on. So I think that's out of the question. You see, the other theory I have, before I get to the NATO membership topic, is that what America's trying to do, just like with Assad, they got him out. They tried to peeve off Russia. Russia did not flinch. Look what America's doing now to Venezuela. Russia have not flinched. Can you see a pattern here? Anyone who has any ties to Russia, thinking you might try and distract them and get them come back to the table, Russia said, you know what, go ahead and do what you want. Because guess what? When it's all said and done, just like with Iraq, with Syria as well, Afghanistan, Libya, we picked up the pieces afterwards. You guys wrecked the country. Iraq, Afghanistan, Syria, to an extent, Russia's part of that too. Libya, you're absolutely wrecked, right? You wrecked all these countries. We'll just pick up the pieces afterwards. We're not worried. Okay, you want to get Maduro out? We'll deal with the next guy when he comes to power. There's an assumption in America, which particularly in the Western world, which I think, I'm not saying scary or anything like that, but it's actually disturbing, I would say, because this is the mindset they have, is that you think dictator goes out of one country, we win. That is not the case at all. In Iraq, you fell miserably. Libya, you fell miserably. In Syria, you don't like jihadists apparently, but you're more than happy to support one that's running the country right now. You don't like jihadists, but you support the guys that are running in places like Qatar and Saudi Arabia, who do sponsor Wahhabism and Islamic extremism in mosques around the world. But apparently Iran's the enemy. Let's assume Iran is the enemy, fine. Look what America did to Iran, and look what Israel did to them. In the space of what? A month or two? What did Russia do after that? Next, Russia had a meeting with Iran recently. Let's talk about extending our partnership further. Russia did not flinch. They're trying to say, oh, Putin, look, we can go after everybody, all your friends around here. We can go after them. But did Putin react angrily? No. Did Russia react angrily? No. Did Russia panic? No. They just carried on as if nothing happened. As if they didn't even know Maduro. As if they didn't know the Iranian regime. As if they didn't know Saddam Hussein. As if they didn't know Gaddafi. Or Assad. Where's Assad, by the way? Nobody's talking about Assad. What happened to Assad? He's probably sitting nicely, warmly in a place in Russia, probably. That's not God knows where. They just got on with it. We're the ones going around knocking people off and then making it as if we're doing the right thing. And it turns out these guys getting power actually probably much worse than who were there before. And they align themselves to Russia again. Just going around in circles. So I don't think Russia, that's what they're trying to bank on. Banking on Russia flinching. Iran, you hit hard. Syria, you hit hard. You got rid of Assad. You already did Libya. You already did Iraq. Now you've gone to Venezuela. Do you think Putin's going to say, oh my God, they got me now? No. He'll say, do what you want. Afterwards, we'll just deal with we'll pick up the pieces afterwards. That's the way it always goes. So NATO membership. I'm not tied into that, but Khan's going into that. NATO membership. There is an obsession about NATO membership all the time on this very topic regarding Russia and Ukraine. There is a link to it. If you actually go back and listen to what Putin said in his speech, it wasn't so much a speech, it was a back and forth with the media, and Macron standing next to him. This is in February 2022, go and look it up. He said, it's the problem we have. Crimea is now ours. You may not like it, but it's ours. It's our territory now, right? We took it by not losing one person. That was quite incredible. You guys fell asleep, we took it. It's ours now. I don't care what the Ukraine constitution says, it's ours. That's what Russia's saying to the rest of the world. Here's our problem with you now. You're now saying that it's okay for Ukraine to try to take it back. Okay, by all means they can try and take it back. They think it's their territory, come at us. Try and take it back from us. Fair enough. But they also know that Ukraine wants to join NATO. And if Ukraine joins NATO, what happened then is that they'll go into conflict with Russia. We're now party to the conflict. If Ukraine attacks Russia, we are a party to the conflict. That was his point. And he goes on further when he says, we know there's no comparison between the two sides. You guys are much larger than us. But you know what we have? We have something called nuclear weapons. And these weapons are much greater and much powerful than some ones you have. Nobody's going to win this war. That was his point before they went into Ukraine. Alright? In addition to that, over the course of time from 2014, when the coup happened, because there was a coup in Ukraine, whether you like it or not, right? The people in all parts of the East and the South were concerned what happened in places like Odessa. Go and watch the footage and see what Ukrainians did to their own people, particularly Russian-speaking people. They also, and I mentioned this earlier, Ukraine's talk of banning Russian language backfires. Because now people are starting to realise that's very undemocratic of you to do that. You're also shutting down the Ukrainian Orthodox Church. That's very undemocratic of you. The priest they want to go in jail. One priest was jailed years ago in Ukraine because all he said was in an old post was that, you know what, if we want to discuss these issues regarding us cutting ourselves away from the Patriarch in Moscow, we got to actually do it by the proper procedure. That was his crime, by saying something like that. He was jailed in Ukraine. You always pick up priests off the streets and just put them in jail on trumped up charges. You're not even trying them. You're just dragging this along. You also want to ban the Russian language, which is discriminatory against people in that country. Ukrainians do speak Russian, mainly Russian, believe it or not. Even in places like Lviv, places like Lviv, there's even more controversy because there's a lot of people do speak Russian language in Lviv. Lviv is one of the most western parts of Ukraine. Because people in Ukraine are, without doubt, Russian. Ethnically Russian. They speak the language Russian. And Russia came out and said, via Lavrov, via Putin, via so many people, these are our people. If you hurt them, we're coming after you. They didn't make that up. They said it all along from day one. From day one. I'm not going to make a comparison here. If you take Scotland, for example, if Britain was like as a union, like Soviet Union was, not that it was, but let's say it was as it is now. We have English people living in Scotland, okay, and most of this part of the region, in this case Scotland, as a country, most speak English. Scottish nationalists come in power and say, we're banning the English language and we'll discriminate against you. Will we just sit there and do nothing about it? No, we would do something about it. It wouldn't be right, because it's not right. So NATO membership has been overplayed so many times because I think it's just all about that. NATO membership, that's it. It's not just about that. It's much bigger than that. Much bigger. Well, Putin mentions it a lot of times because Putin is trying to say to you, if you want to talk NATO membership, guys, we wanted to join NATO. Russia wanted to join NATO. It could have been a great deterrent to China. But he decided to say, screw you, Russia. And what Russia do? Go to China instead and form a partnership with them. Good job, guys. Well, the EU. The EU managed to destroy Germany's economy, their manufacturing sector, the manufacturing industry as a whole. They've destroyed it completely. They're bankrupting our nations one by one. We're trying to get ourselves back into the EU for some bizarre reason. Why we do that, I have no idea. And they want to drag us into a war with Russia. And you get all these idiots. Yes, a lot of them online, sadly. A lot of these idiots online who say, yeah, we need to stand up to Russia. Then go and get your backpack and your gun and go and fight for Ukraine. Go for it. No one's stopping you. Go and do it. Well, that's right. You fucking won't. You fucking won't, you fucking coward. That's what you are. All of you are cowards. There's a poll came out recently that showed that most Brits don't think Ukraine should give up territory. And that we should take it to Russia. Alright, get your backpack and get your gun and go. Fuck off. Go and fight. No one's stopping you. This isn't a pro-Russian statement. Go and fight. You lazy bastard. Go and fight. But I don't think we have to go and fight. We've got Ukrainians there. You want to sacrifice the entire nation of Ukraine? Just make yourself feel better. The reason why the poll numbers look like that is because people have been lied to. Constantly lied to. Every time. Lied to. What's going on over there? I can give you over 1,000 clips. I can give you 1,000 clips of Ukrainian men running away from the military commissars. And you have women out there who are trying to defend their men as well. And they're pushed to the ground. The men are beaten if they don't get into the van. That seems perfectly okay for people, apparently. Because guess what? Some of these people live in your neighbourhoods here in the UK, and places like France, Germany, Spain, Italy, Scandinavian countries, you name it. There are people that live in your country who will rat you out. If you're hiding from something truly evil out there, they will rat you out. That's the kind of people you've got in your country as well. Be careful of those people. They are not your friends. We should go and fight the Russians. But I'll just sit here and rat you out. That's what they do. They are cowards. That's what they are. Then the EU decides to go after Russian assets. Yes, congratulations, go after Russian assets as well. Well done. Good job. You went so far that you decided to say, you know what, it looks like Russia's getting really angry when we try and do this. Should we not do it? Yeah, let's not do it. Let's not steal their stuff. Because exactly what it is theft. Essentially what the EU were trying to do here was declare war on Russia. That's what they're trying to do. Then they realised these poll numbers stink because they don't make any sense at all. Merz, what his bloody name is in Germany, leader in Germany, his poll numbers are tanked. Macron numbers have tanked. Starmer's numbers have tanked. They don't care about that. They want to drag us into this. All they need is about 35 to 40% of the consensus of the people, and that's enough. Screw the rest of them. That's all they need. Go after Russian assets. The audacity to go after Roman Abramovich, who has paid a ridiculous number of taxes in this country, who's brought God knows how many jobs into this country by buying Chelsea Football Club. You then take the club away from him illegally. Completely unconstitutional, the way it works in our system in this country, the way he did it. Took all that money away from him. His assets as well. And now saying, you should pay X billion amount of money to us because we can't afford to pay Ukraine anymore. That's why they're doing it. It's because we have no money to give to Ukraine. They barely passes 90 billion loan, the euro, 90 billion euro loan. Barely. Now they're trying to steal people's assets to pay for this stuff. Because we've got no more money. If they didn't pay Ukraine the 90 billion which they're about to pay now, Ukraine's society would have collapsed. Collapsed. Next part of the topic, almost halfway through here. The EU and US ignoring Russia's demands. Well, Russia can't demand anything. Well, hold on a second. If you go into a war and conflict, and one side is taking some land of the quote unquote our ally, you'd have the right to say to Russia, "We'll cut a deal with you, but I'll tell you what, get out of these territories you've just taken. Then we'll cut a deal." That's not how it works. It's never worked like that in war. The amount of time, Western hypocrisy, the amount of times you bomb the shit out of countries, you ruin countries, you plunder countries, and you have the nerve to come out and demand something of Russia. No wonder Russia told you, go fuck yourselves. And you know what? Rightly so. After what you did to Iraq, you did in Afghanistan, you did in Libya, now you did in Syria recently. The nerve of these people to come out and do this. Well, Saddam Hussein was, what was the whole thing of Saddam Hussein? Let's have a look at this. What was the whole thing of Saddam Hussein? Maybe I can show it to you. No, I'll read it to you. In Evening Standard, back in September 2002, 45 minutes from attack, dossier reveals Saddam is ready to launch chemical war strikes. That turned out to be complete bullshit. You got the one guy who could even touch us, who was no threat to us. You ruin Iraq, you plunder the country of its oil, you ruin people's lives, you decimate the infrastructure, you went after this, placed sanctions on this country and wrecked them completely. Why do they hate us? I'm wondering why these people hate us. Why did the Iraqis spite the British? Because every single time from day one, you've also had something. You've had something bad. I don't know what you dislike about the Iraqis, dislike about the Russians, because they won't bow to you. Is that what it is? Same thing with Gaddafi as well. The exact same scenario. Then, of course, you get morons in the way it is now in politics. Well, that must mean you love Saddam Hussein. Well, by pointing out the fact that you lied about why you went to war with him. That's what you mean by loving Saddam Hussein. Why don't you just hear him out? You've dealt with this guy before. You've cut deals with him before. You did the exact same thing with Gaddafi. The West backed the Mujahideen in Afghanistan. Right, you've dealt with people like this before, so deal with them again. Like a Russia, you dealt with Russia before, let's deal with them again. Just can't deal with them. Russia's demands, they keep saying Russia not to demand anything. Look at the Minsk agreements, look what Poroshenko said. It's actually on video, he says this. We use the Minsk agreements to rebuild the Ukrainian army so we can take Crimea back by force, deal with the rebellion in the east part of the country, and build a anti-Putin, anti-Russian coalition within NATO. That's what he said. So it confirms Russia's fears that Ukraine had no intention of abiding by the Minsk Accords. No intention at all. The Minsk agreements that were put in place. No intention at all. If that was your mindset from day one when you tried to sign that agreement, forget what Russia think at this point. That's what your intention was. Russia had every right, every reason, a legit reason to think we can't deal with you guys because you decided to say we're going to rebuild our army, take back Crimea by force, and join in with NATO. Russia counters it and says, you realise they put NATO into this, you're going to cause an all-out war between Europe and us in the West, in the East as well. No? Doesn't concern you at all, does it? And the nerve to go after people, well, you voted for Brexit, and Brexit brings us close to Russia and is Europe. Literally right there next to Europe still. Does France work with us or anything? No. France turns around and says to all these poor migrants, please bugger off and go on your boats and go to England. But we're the Nazis. We're the racists. These people give them food, water, shelter. Even the ones that commit rape and murder. That's right. But in France, they don't give a crap. The hell with you guys, you're foreign to us, get out and go to England because you'll be taken care of there. But the EU's paradise. The EU is actually a complete place to live for everybody across the entire globe. It's healthy and everything is going to be great. We're all hold hands, sing Kumbaya. And England is the racist country apparently. Yet most people want to come to England. What does that tell you exactly? They'll blame Russia for everything. They're literally doing it right now as we speak. Russia has been blamed for absolutely everything. It's funny. You should go and watch. I recommend this if for those of you on YouTube Premium. I don't want it myself. Look up the Russian 5. This is the Russian 5 players that play for the Detroit Red Wings. One of the best first line you'll find in any history of hockey, because there's a lot of Russian players still playing in the American League. Well, the Canadians are in there as well. And there was a joke in that when things go wrong, we have to blame somebody. Who they blame? They blame the Russians. Detroit weren't winning the Stanley Cup. And they showed Sergei Fedorov's face, one of the great players ever to play hockey. And by the way, go and watch ice hockey, guys. You'll love it. Watch the highlights, just the highlights. You have to watch the whole game. Watch the highlights. It's a great sport. It's still a working man sport, by the way. Unlike football, American football, which is obviously American handball. Baseball, I suppose, is still about there. American football has been completely gone down the celebrity route, along with football, soccer, if you want to call it soccer. NHL, man, is a great league to watch. It really is. It's America, but it's a great league to watch with the Canadian teams as well in there. It is terrific. The intensity and the high demand of that sport makes it such a great watch. Anyway, they blame Russia. Blame Russia everything. Russian gains. Yeah, they've been very little, but they're still gains. Going back to the whole thing about the current state of Ukraine and Russia's demands. What have they said also from Ukraine over the time? Zelensky said, we're not negotiating with Russia anymore. He actually banned negotiations. But Russia does want peace with us. Wait a minute, moron. You just said we're not going to negotiate with you anymore. So why the hell should we talk to you? Doesn't make any sense. Oh, I didn't mean Russia. I meant Putin. No, you made it very clear it was Russia. You made it very clear. You weren't going to negotiate with Russia. So now you're saying to Russia, we have no interest in talking to you, we're carrying on. Now that Russia's beating you up in every single part in your backyard, on the front line as it is now, you're losing territory, they've damaged almost half your energy in the country, you're going to struggle. Now you're begging, you know what, we said we're going to take all this land back from you, and then we'll call it quits and call it peace treaty and get some money from you as well on compensation. Now we're saying, let's now cut it so we can draw the line where we are now, as in terms of the front line, separate our sides, and then we'll talk about peace. So you're going from, we're taking everything back from you, you effing Nazis, you extremists, you, all the above, right? Okay, we want to talk now. Russia have always said to you, to Ukraine and Europe, let's talk. You've ignored them. But Russia's position is very, very tough. They want territory. Yes, moron, that's what happens in every single conflict. When you fight and you lose, you lose. You lose, you schmooze. Alright? You have to give up territory. That's the penalty of peace. End of story. When the West wants to do it, they can do what the hell they want. Russia says, we're taking this territory for you, it's ours now. No, you got to give it back. No, you got to give it back. Sorry, we're not going to talk to you. Not going to talk to you. After what they did in the coup in 2014 and what they did the Minsk agreements and how they're treating Russia right now, you cannot blame Russia for turning around and saying to the West, go F yourselves because we're not interested in talking to you anymore. We stated our position very clearly. You have no respect for that position, therefore we'll just continue. Putin said, what was it, 2 months ago now? Putin said, we're going to take the Donetsk region by force or by negotiation. We're not negotiating on that position that we have. If we take it now, or you give it to us. We'll go by step, doesn't matter how long it takes us, we're going to take this from you. That's what he said. And you think he's joking. You guys are the inconsistent ones. He's the consistent one. He sounds the most sane person, which is unbelievable if you think about it. He's like the most sane person here. This is our position. I made it clear. I'm not changing it. I've said this all along from day one. Good grief. Banning the Russian language backfires. Because people are starting to realise, wait a minute, this is actually discriminatory. Why is it that Ukraine has not joined the EU yet? All this talk about getting Ukraine into the EU. Because the EU won't even take Ukraine. They know how corrupt the country is. How much these people discriminate against people. How much money's been changing hands in Kiev. Not to mention the war crimes committed by the Ukraine regime against the Ukraine people in the east of the country. Which, by the way, the entire media covered. The entire media covered it. People in Donetsk weren't crying out for Russians. Russia, please, Putin, help us. They weren't doing that back then. They said, leave us alone, we want autonomy here. We're not concerned what's going on in the west part of the country. But we still want to be Ukrainian. We want to be Ukrainian. The poll numbers showed this. If you look at poll numbers back then, the people in Donbass region had no interest in becoming part of the Russian state, Russian Federation. No interest. Zelensky comes in and says, I promise I'll resolve this issue. Good job resolving this issue, Zelensky. Good job. People forget all this as if it never happened. Just ignored it as if this is not part of history. People are like a memory of a goldfish. Just completely forgot this all happened. Even the Telegraph mentioned earlier from the start of the stream, I said, even the Telegraph criticises Kallas, that stupid cow. He can't stop opening her mouth about how bad Russians are. The reporters for the BBC, the reporters who also do work for the newspapers, They're coming out and telling her, shut the fuck up, woman. Shut the fuck up. Why you keep opening your mouth about how bad Russia is? Stop. Tone it down a little bit, woman. The pro-Ukrainian lot are telling that woman, who's also pro-Ukraine, shut the hell up. You're not helping. How many times they told her, could you keep your mouth shut a little bit? You're a crooked bureaucrat. You're not elected by us. Or even by, forget us in Britain. You're not elected by the European Union, for that matter. No one in Europe wanted you to be there. You got yourself a nice little cushy job. The EU banking on Russia collapsing. They actually thought Russia would collapse like the Soviet Union. They actually had this as a doctrine. All my streams are back in 2022 and 2023, which I don't have because my YouTube don't like people talking common sense. So to speak, the guy in the comment section who's called Just Common Sense. Just basic facts. You know, I'm relaying information to you, right? That they thought that Russia would collapse like the Soviet Union. They literally thought this. Idiots. Who was also in the Soviet Union at the time? The guy who now leads Russia. He was there during that time. He does not like the Soviet Union. But he said the collapse of the Soviet Union was the worst thing that could happen. Was the biggest, what was it? The biggest downfall, the biggest, I can't remember the exact phrase now. But he made reference to it as if it was like the biggest disaster for us. Biggest tragedy, was it, of the 20th century, 21st century, whatever it was. I can't remember the exact wording. 20th century. The one of the worst. But I forget what Putin said after that. They make all these blanket statements they find that these leaders make. They take a snippet of it and show it to you and say, you see, he wants to be back. I don't get the people from the media. The same people that say that he wants to bring back the Soviet Union also think he's Tsar Nicholas as well. Doesn't make any sense. Neither side liked each other. Don't need to remind Britain of your history with Tsar Nicholas. Your own king refused to take him in. What is his cousin? Or his brother for the matter? I can't remember what the relations are. You refused to take him in because the Liberals and Labour, Lib Dems at the time, were threatening action against you if you decided to do it. They would let him out of the country and into Britain. They said, no, we don't want him. You left him in the hands of the communists. Look at it to his entire family. Anyway, that's history now. So banking on the collapse of Russia. It's entirely going to collapse. No, it didn't. Did it collapse? No. Didn't collapse at all because Putin saw what happened. Why was it a tragedy? Why was this a tragedy in the Soviet Union collapse according to Putin? Because you made all of these tens of millions of Russians stateless. That's what he said. You ignore that part. I had to bring it up and quote it. You ignore that part completely. That's a quite critical part of why he said it. What was the self-determination for these people? That you're in this part of the country, that's your country now. What, you mean I don't get a say? No, tough. We just draw these lines and that's it. That's your country now. They're banking on Russia collapsing. Well, that worked out well, didn't it? Trump losing interest, doesn't care, just wants deals and resources. Obviously. Should we be surprised by Trump's actions on this and the way he's reacted? No, we shouldn't. He's always acting like a child. Now he wants to shut off Venezuela and start going after them for absolutely no reason whatsoever. Venezuela is not a direct threat to the United States. They're not. We need Trump. He'll go up against the military-industrial complex. No, he's part of the military-industrial complex, guys. If Venezuela don't want their leader anymore, they can get rid of them themselves. In time, what will happen? Maduro is not going to last forever. Putin is not going to last forever in Russia. Xi Jinping is not going to last forever in China. And so on and so forth. That's the way life is. Trump doesn't really care. Trump's all about image. That's all it is. After everything else is said and done, the way I've covered this since just before they went into Ukraine and until this point, is Ukraine going to edge close to Russia? All you have to do is go and listen to the words of Valery Zaluzhny just recently. He said many things over the years, the former leader of the armed forces of Ukraine. He said, I have serious concerns we might have a civil war here. We might have a civil war in Ukraine. Because you're looking at a situation whereby you've got people fighting in the east, we're going to tell them, you've got to stop fighting, and we have to give up the territory that Russia have. Potentially give up the whole Donbass. They're going to be peeved off by it. Zelensky won't last a second in Kiev if that happens. Right, they'll be after his head. So yeah, he'll go. Then people in that country will be vying for power, and then there's not kind of like a togetherness in the country when it comes to politics as a whole. People are seeing the corruption, people are seeing what's gone on, they're not happy about it. And as a price for Ukraine to pay, you destroy many generations of their people, particularly their men. They're all gone now. They're not coming back. You're going to sacrifice more for that. You're going to split the country into different pieces, and you're going to take a piece from it. This is what you always do in Europe. EU comes in, takes over, and becomes part of a large trading bloc, aka a Ponzi scheme, essentially. Then once you accomplish that, you're now a full-fledged member of the EU. We now militarize you. It is in Eastern Europe with Yugoslavia. That's what it did. Now Ukraine's saying we're not going to join NATO. Wait, what? I thought that was an actual essential an actual demand from Russia from the beginning. And even some Americans come out at the time who are up the higher echelon, close to President, in this case President Biden, who believe that if we came out and actually got Ukraine to withdraw and change from their constitution about joining NATO, we might have prevented the war from happening. Say one about Russia, go and criticise them. You're absolutely free to criticise them, and rightly so. Criticise Putin, criticise people in Russia, criticise people who support Russia, go for it. Do what you want. You're absolutely free to do it. But do it with facts. Back them up as well, with actual detail. Don't make it blanket statements and just keep lying about it like most of you do online. You should come out and actually be proper about it and be truthful about it, but you're not. You're not. So there was a big chance here for us to act. Excuse me. I'm seeing what's the latest on it. I don't see anything else. I know Putin spoke today to the media. Yeah, the tone is changing every day now from Russia, because they're saying, well, we're doing what we can to protect our people, and if we have to go further, we will. America, Europe, and Ukraine are talking amongst themselves. Russia over here saying, hello, we're in this conflict with you guys, and you're talking amongst yourselves, you don't want to listen to us. Okay, we'll just carry on. Because Russia, as I've always said in my streams many times over the years, Russia prepared to make the necessary sacrifice to win. Us in the West were not prepared to do it. We have the resources, we have the capability, we have the money, nor the will. Ukrainian people were sold a pack of lies by people in the West. Right from the beginning, they were sold a pack of lies. Ain't fair on the Ukrainian people for them to do that to them, what we've done here in the West. And now we're going to pay a price, because it comes down to this. You're wondering why, wouldn't it be easier just to negotiate right now and just cut quickly over Russia and say, okay, let's work out small details afterwards? Because we put all our chips in, we can't get out of it. We've called them all the names in the book, we've sanctioned them to death, we're stealing money from people like Abramovich, they don't want to take other assets, we're cutting off all the gas eventually from them, we took out Nord Stream Pipeline 2, oh, you forgot about that as well, didn't you? All of you forgot about that. That itself was an act of war. Potentially looking at going in around Kaliningrad. Well, good luck with that, moron. Whoever idiot came up with that plan, I'll take that person, hand him over to Russia and say, take him. Take him or her, just take them. We want them. They were stupid just in the first, just take them. Then hit their tankers in parts of the Mediterranean Sea and other parts of the world. You accuse Russia of using drones across your airports. You produce zero evidence for that. And to this day, the evidence you produce for when it comes to the Novichok here in the UK is also shaky evidence. You assume it's Russia based on what you've read, not based on the strong evidence you tried to produce to us. You haven't shown us anything on this. Anything at all. You tell me you can't figure out where those drones are coming from? The amount of money we spend on intelligence, I would call it unintelligence, but it's called intelligence. The amount of money we spend on security, the amount of money we spend on a lot of things. What is happening to that? We have to really seriously start questioning our leaders, our politicians, as to what the hell's happening. It's ain't on. The other thing that maybe 2030 will be the year where we go to war with Russia, which is about just under 5 years from now. Actually, no, it'll be 4 years, won't it? It's under 4 years. Russia believe this as well. And how many of you are going to go out there and fight? Because I can guarantee you, the non-patriotic people are not going to go and fight. They'll just keep talking on their phone, messaging each other, liking tweets. That's it. They're not going to go and fight. These are internet warriors. They're not actual fighters. They're not soldiers. At all. So I thought I'd do a stream like that. I mean, I could have talked a lot more, but I'm going to try to keep the stream shorter, if I can. Just of interest is the state of the current situation between Ukraine and Russia. Just catching up. And I said there's a lot more, but I haven't got time to cover it all. It would take too long. Do check out the other videos, guys. There'll be more short videos coming, as I've been doing for the last 3 or 4 months now. There'll be some videos in translation, as you can tell, it wasn't actually me speaking. That's actually using AI, because I can't speak 6 different languages. But they're more like that, because I think it's good to get other languages out of people, and particularly stories in other countries, get them translated so people in those countries can understand them. And from being told, the quality of the videos, okay, they're not fantastic, but the sound quality is great. The actual words make sense, people can understand what's been said in the foreign language. That's very impressive. I'm going to do a test on this particular stream, translate it to Russian. But it'll take quite a long time to do, so I might not do the entire stream, just do like highlights of it and put it into Russian. Anyway, enjoy the rest of the evening, good night, and maybe see you next week, maybe another stream. What's next week? Well, next week's Christmas, isn't it? Jeez. Maybe Boxing Day stream to wrap up the year, or maybe in New Year's Eve probably I'll do a stream.